Hello and welcome to PASDA, Pennsylvania Spatial Data Access. This video is going to provide you an overview of PASDA, which is Pennsylvania's Geospatial Data Clearinghouse, so that you know how to find and navigate data on this particular website. You're going to find that there is just a ton of data there for the taking that you can use and download for various projects that you might be working on. The website for PASDA is pasda.psu.edu, and this is hosted at Penn State University. So to get started using the site and finding data, you can do this in a couple of different ways. You can see that you have the ability to search by keyword, the ability to search by data provider. So if you know what organization has created the data or an organization's data that you might be interested in, you can search by that provider. Or you can use the various shortcuts that are over here on the right-hand side. And I tend to really like the shortcuts because it's just a quick way of accessing data that you might need. So we're going to start with the shortcuts. And we're going to start with probably the most commonly used data, which are boundaries, because we need boundaries for a lot of different things. They're great base layers. It's things like county boundaries, municipality boundaries, school districts, Senate, House districts, and you name it. There are a ton of different types of boundaries available for download. So let's say that we want to download a particular data layer. The first thing to really kind of pay attention to, just so you start getting a little bit more familiar with data, is note who the data provider is. As you start learning who the data provider is, you're even going to find quicker ways of getting to the data that you might need. In Pennsylvania, PennDOT is responsible for most administrative boundaries, so you can see that they're listed beside, a good number of these data layers. Also, one thing you want to note is the timeliness of the data. Over here, it gives the year when that data was created. So if you are interested in downloading any of them, you simply click on the layer that you're interested in downloading. I'm going to select school districts, and then the page comes up that gives you the opportunity to learn more about that particular data layer. The first thing that I would suggest that you do, this is probably pretty self-explanatory what we're going to be getting when we download this, but not all data is that self-explanatory. So you might want to click on the metadata option. This is essentially the where, what, when, why about the data. Why was it created? For whom was it created? What's the timeliness of it? And so forth. So you can see that it has that data creator and provider up there, and it also has other information that can be very helpful. One of the things that you probably noticed as we've been looking at data in GIS is that sometimes the attribute tables, the field names, aren't necessarily the most intuitive names. And the way that we learn what the field names are and what they mean is by clicking this entity and attribute information. It gives each field name and then a definition for that. So some of these are, pretty, simple, like school district. It just is the school district name is the definition. But this is something that if you want to get really familiar with your data and understand it, looking at that metadata record prior to download or after you download is probably a really good idea. If you want to preview it, you can click the preview button and it will give you a look of what it looks like in Google Maps. So you can see that we're just looking at all the school district boundaries. And then sometimes I'm curious about that, so I'll click preview. But oftentimes I go immediately to download. So you can download it. And what you're going to see is that it downloads in the corner. I'm using Google Chrome as my browser. If you're using Firefox, you're going to see your downloads up in this. So now that my data is downloaded down here in the corner, I'm going to go to Show in Folder. And that basically puts it in my downloads area. And I'm actually going to cut that out of there or move it out of there and put it into a folder that I created just to put my GIS data in. And I'm going to copy that zip file there. And then what we have to do to be able to use it in GIS is we have to extract it, and we have to put it in the folder where we want to save it, which is the GIS data folder. And you can see that you can see all the components of the shapefile that are there. So we extracted it so we could see that. Now we can add it to ArcMap simply by going to our Add Data button. And then navigating to that folder. And voila, we have Pennsylvania school districts in our GIS database now. So it's as simple as that to get data from PASDA. It's just really going to that download link. So that's some really basic data that you can find. You can explore all these categories on your own. You're going to find that there's a wealth of information there. Another way of searching is by keyword. Let's say, for instance, we were looking for watersheds data layer. So we can search on watershed, and it will come back to us with the results. And then you just simply click on the one that you want to download. And I'm going to click just small watersheds, and then download. And it's going to take this one a little bit of time to download, so I'll go back and grab one that might be a little bit smaller. We'll do Philadelphia watersheds, and then download. And we can see that that one is done, so we can do a show in folder again. We can cut that and move that into our GIS data area, and then we can right click on it to extract it to our GIS data folder. And there we have it. And again, we can go back here to ArcMap, simply click the Add Data button. Now we see Philadelphia city limits 2016 in there, and now that adds to the map. So very simple in terms of downloading data that you might need. And one of the things I think you're going to find is sometimes you get not what you were expecting, and that's kind of the fun of it, that you go and look at it, and then if you decided that you don't need it, you can just delete it out of your database. So that's how we can use the keyword functionality in this area. The other way that you can search is by data provider. So let's say, for instance, we are interested in looking for what, again, PennDOT might have. So we click on that selection and hit submit, and it will give you a list of all the data sets that PennDOT provides. And again, to download, you just simply click on it and grab that download button. So fairly straightforward and intuitive on how to work this site. You can spend some serious time here when you first get started getting GIS data, because there's just so much to choose from. Now, two of the shortcuts that I kind of avoided, and very deliberately I avoided them, were imagery and LiDAR and elevation. And the reason I avoided these data shortcuts is because I think there's an easier way of getting this without going to the shortcuts, because this can be really overwhelming when you go down this list. And if you're looking for a particular area or a particular geography, this just is again overwhelming. And same with the LiDAR and elevation link. And there's just so much stuff there that you really don't know what's what. So the way that I'm going to suggest that you look for imagery and elevation data is by using an app that PASDA has built called Pennsylvania's Imagery Navigator. If you select that link, the Imagery Navigator comes up, and if you come over here, you can see what imagery is built into the Pennsylvania Imagery Navigator, and you can see it's quite a list of places. There's are ways of getting imagery. If we click on Display Tile Index, this essentially means this is the cataloging system for each of the aerial photo programs or imagery programs and LiDAR. So if you want to know the spatial extent of, the 2015 statewide color, this is telling you that each one of these boxes that you see, or I call them tiles, is an image, and it's going to be different depending on what program that you select to get data from. So if I click Philadelphia, notice what happens there. So you can choose to display these, and I would highly suggest that you do, because sometimes the geography that you're trying to find imagery for falls close to the edge of one, so you really need the one next to it as well, and sometimes you just need a nice big swath around it. This helps you identify how many aerial photos that you or imagery that you're going to actually need for a particular project. So let's go into Lebanon County, and that kind of zooms us in. So let's just say we're down here in this area here, and we want to get some imagery for this particular location where my cursor is pointing. Now you notice down here in the left hand side it says right click on the map to download an image file. So where my cursor is, once I right click, it's going to tell me all the imagery that's available for that exact location. So when I go right click, the download links for that area come up. It tells me what imagery is available, because not all of these are going to be available for every particular place. So all these tabs that you see that aren't grayed out are imagery sources for that particular location. So it's really kind of awesome, because you can get aerial photos over time and kind of look at how things have changed if that's something that you're interested in, or if you just need the most recent, so you can see you have projects going on there, you can grab those. If you're looking for LiDAR and digital elevation models, and we'll learn how to use digital elevation models in a later module, you can download all of those things here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to download some imagery, and hopefully it won't take too long to do this, but I'm going to click download. And notice that this is 149 megabytes, so that's going to be, a few minutes to download. And if we go to the 2013 and 2010, let's see if we can get the smaller ones here. I'm going to actually download this one as well. And then just so that you can see this, to get a preview for what's coming up shortly with digital elevation models, we are going to download the digital elevation model for this particular area. So we have those going on here at the bottom. While those are downloading, I'm going to pause the video, and I'll be back when the files are downloaded. Now that we have two of these data layers downloaded, we're going to go to our downloads area. We're going to grab those out of the downloads area and take them to our GIS data folder. And once they are copied there, we will extract them and add those to ArcMap. What you're going to find when you're working with imagery, some of these data sets can be quite large, so it does require patience and good bandwidth. So I'm going to right click on my aerial photo, and I'm going to extract that. And this is taking a little bit of time. And when it finishes, we're going to note that it's adding a number of different files to our Explorer area. We have a TIFF and a TFW. The TIFF is the actual image, and the TFW gives its coordinate system. I'm going to extract the digital elevation model. And luckily that moves a little bit quicker than the aerial photo. And now that we have them extracted, and again, we have a TIFF with the DEM, we just can open up ArcMap, hit our Add Data button, and notice that we have two rasters here. One's the aerial, one's the DEM. If I click on them and add, and I'm going to choose not to build pyramids, that would allow them to just draw quicker in the future. It just takes a few seconds, so I opted to skip. I'm going to turn these off, and I'm going to zoom to these layers so that you can see them. So this black and white that you see is the digital elevation model. And in a non-responsive mode, there we go. And you can see that the aerial is attempting to draw on top of it. So that's how we download an aerial photo and a digital elevation model. And again, in a couple modules, you're going to learn how to work with these digital elevation models to do some really cool things like create shaded relief maps, derive contours, and lots of other fun stuff. But the digital elevation models for all of Pennsylvania can be found on PASDA, and you can even find the county mosaics on there, so you can download a whole county at one time, which is probably the preferred method if you're going to be working with a geography of that size. So that's a little bit about that. The Imagery Navigator and how we can use that. If we go back to the main page, you're going to see again that we have this Apps and Tools link. We were just at the Imagery Navigator. Another really good app to use to find and download data is the Pennsylvania Atlas, because you can do this all at one time. So if we go to that, you can search the map, and it tells you how to download data. It basically says there's two ways to download data. Click a hyperlinked layer name in the layer list, and click the bottom to see the list of layers. So if I list all data, it takes me to all the data that is part of the map, and then you just click what it is that you want to grab. So really an easy way of getting data. So a suggestion is just spend some time on PASDA, download things that interest you or you think would be helpful. In a few lessons from now, we're going to learn how to process this data that you now collected. We have downloaded some statewide data, but you may not want it for the whole entire state. You might just want it for your county. You're going to learn how to clip that data to get it to the geography that you want it to.